The giant alien ship appeared suddenly at the edge of Earth's solar system on a quiet Tuesday morning. It hung there like a dark cloud, its metal skin shining under the distant sun. Commander Susan Bell stood on the bridge of the UES Guardian, her hands gripping the rail until her knuckles turned white. The alien ship was 5 times bigger than any human spacecraft ever built. "What are they doing, Bill?" she asked her second-in-command. Lieutenant Bill Rogers looked up from his screen. "They're just sitting there beyond Mars, Commander." Same message playing over and over for the last hour. Susan tucked a strand of brown hair behind her ear. "Show me again." The main screen lit up. A blue-skinned alien with a long face and strange eyes looked out at them. It wore a fancy uniform covered with medals and badges. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Admiral Zorkal of the Galactic Imperial Fleet. We speak for 600 worlds in this part of the galaxy. Your planet has grown enough to join our empire. We will send our people to you in 2 days. Do not try to fight us, it would end badly for you." Susan's face hardened. Humans had only figured out faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. They had small bases on Mars and Europa now, and had met 2 friendly alien groups. But this was different. This was a threat. "Get me Earth's leaders," she ordered, "and call all our ships back to defend Earth. We need to show a united front." 6 hours later, leaders from all Earth nations met in New York at the United Nations building. Military chiefs, scientists, and politicians filled the room. Susan joined through video from her ship. Dr. Sam Wilson pointed to images of the alien ship. "Their tech is at least 200 years ahead of ours," he explained. "Their weapons could destroy our cities in minutes." Linda Green, the head of Earth's government, shook her head. "And they say they control 600 worlds. We don't stand a chance. So we just give up?" General Joe Clark slammed his fist on the table. "Become their slaves?" Susan spoke up. "Something feels off about this. They seem too practiced, like they've done this many times before, but why tell us they're coming? Why give us time to get ready? If they wanted to take over, why not just attack?" "You think they're lying?" Linda asked. "Not exactly lying," Susan said, "but I think they follow a routine. They've met civilizations like ours before, and they expect us to surrender right away out of fear." "What do you suggest we do, Commander Bell?" Susan stood straighter. "We don't bow down. We act strong even if we're scared. And we learn everything we can about them while we have time." After the meeting ended, Susan turned to Bill. "Contact our friends on Mars and Europa. I want all the information they can find about this galactic empire, and get ready for visitors. We need to make a good first impression." That night, Susan couldn't sleep. She walked through her ship checking on her crew. Most were young, barely into their 20s. Many looked scared. "Commander?" A young officer named Kate stopped her in the hallway. "Are we going to be okay?" Susan put a hand on Kate's shoulder. "We've faced hard things before. Remember the asteroid crisis 5 years ago? Everyone said we were doomed, but we figured it out." "But these are aliens with super advanced tech," Kate said. "Yes, but we have something they might not expect." Susan tapped her temple. "Human creativity. We think outside the box, and we're stubborn as hell." Kate smiled a little. "My grandpa used to say humans are like cockroaches, hard to get rid of." "Your grandpa was smart," Susan laughed. "Now get some rest." In her private quarters, Susan pulled up all the data they had on the alien ship. Its design was strange. Parts of it looked sleek and advanced, while other sections seemed cobbled together, like pieces from different puzzles. She opened a secure channel to Dr. Wilson on Earth. "Sam, I'm looking at these scans again. Does anything strike you as odd about their ship design?" The scientist's tired face appeared on screen. "Now that you mention it, the tech seems inconsistent, like they didn't build all of it themselves." "That's what I was thinking," Susan said. "What if they're not as powerful as they claim? What if this is partly a bluff?" "It's possible," Sam admitted. "But even if they only control 60 worlds instead of 600, they're still far beyond us." "True, but it gives us something to work with." Susan's mind raced with possibilities. "We need to learn more about these Galactic Empire folks. Have we checked with the Arcturians?" They've been spacefaring for centuries. I'll make contact right away, Sam promised. As dawn broke over Earth the next day, Susan watched from her ship as humanity prepared. Military forces moved into position. Citizens in major cities were quietly evacuated to underground shelters, told it was just a drill. Scientists worked around the clock studying the alien ship. Susan felt a flutter of hope. If this empire was bluffing even a little, maybe humans had a chance. Not to win a fight, they were still outgunned, but to negotiate better terms. Commander? Bill called from across the bridge. Message from the Arcturian ambassador. Susan took a deep breath. Put it through. The face of the insect-like Arcturian appeared on screen. Commander Bell, we received your urgent inquiry about the Galactic Empire. And? Susan leaned forward. In our 5 centuries of space travel, we have never encountered such an empire. The Arcturian's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. However, we have heard rumors of a species called Thoralians who use intimidation tactics against developing worlds. Susan felt a surge of energy. This was it, their first real lead. We have 36 hours before their diplomatic team arrives, she told her officers. Let's find out everything we can about these Thoralians. The more we know, the better our chances of surviving this first contact. The clock was ticking. Earth's future hung in the balance. But for the first time since the massive ship appeared, Susan felt something besides fear. She felt ready for a fight. The alien shuttle came down from the sky exactly 2 days later. It moved with perfect grace, making no sound as it landed in the big field outside New York, where the humans had set up a welcome area. Jack Wilson stood at the front of the human group. As Earth's top diplomat, he had been chosen because he stayed calm in tough situations and was good at talking to different kinds of people. He wore his best dark blue suit, but his hands were sweating inside his pockets. Around him stood other humans in neat rows. Some were diplomats like him. Others were security guards trying to look friendly while keeping their guns hidden. And a few were scientists eager to see real aliens up close. The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. 5 aliens walked out. Their leader was easy to spot. High Admiral Zorkal stood 7 feet tall with blue skin that almost glowed in the morning sun. His uniform was black and gold, covered with strange symbols. Behind him came 4 other aliens. 2 looked like soldiers, 1 carried what might be scientific tools, and the last wore flowing robes like some kind of priest. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said with a small bow. He made the hand gesture that Earth's alien experts had said would be polite across many species. Zorkal didn't bow back. "We accept your welcome," he said in a cold voice that sounded slightly metallic through his translator. "We will begin the integration meeting now." Jack kept his friendly smile in place. "We have a nice building prepared for our talks. Would you like to rest first after your long journey?" "Imperial representatives do not need rest," Zorkal said flatly. "Take us to this building." As they walked to the conference center, Dr. Lisa Brown, Earth's top alien biologist, whispered to Jack, "See how the others won't look at him directly? They're scared of him." Inside the big meeting room, the humans sat on one side of a long table, the aliens on the other. Cameras sent the images to billions of people watching all over Earth and its colonies. Zorkal pressed something on his wrist, and a floating 3D image appeared, showing a long document. "The rules of Imperial control are fixed and cannot be changed," he began. "Earth will be a level 3 protected planet, getting certain benefits in return for certain duties." As he spoke, the list of rules showed on the floating display. Earth would get some Imperial medical and farming technology. An Imperial military base would be built in Earth orbit. Earth would have to give certain amounts of rare metals and water. Each year, 20 out of every 100 Earth soldiers would have to serve in the Imperial forces. Imperial laws would replace Earth laws for anything involving space. All new Earth technology would need Imperial approval. Jack listened without interrupting, his face showing nothing. When Zorkal finished, Jack smiled politely. "Thank you for explaining everything, High Admiral. Earth's leaders will need time to study these rules carefully." Zorkal's eyes narrowed. "There is nothing to study. The rules are good for you. Most planets thank us for our attention. I'm sure they do, Jack said smoothly. However, Earth has its own ways of handling big agreements. We need 3 days to properly review everything. The alien leaned forward. You do not understand. This is not a discussion. Neither is it a surrender, Jack said, still sounding pleasant but firm. Earth has met other space-traveling species. We've built good relationships based on respect and equal treatment. We expect the same from your empire. The room went quiet. The alien science advisor whispered something to Zor-Kal, who looked surprised. You have met other species? He asked, sounding like this was unexpected news. Yes, Jack confirmed. We have friendly trading partnerships with both the Arcturian Collective and the Rigelian Commonwealth. This news seemed to change the mood among the aliens. The one in robes made a quick motion with its hands. Very well, Zor-Kal said after a moment. You may have 1 day to review the terms. We will return tomorrow for your official acceptance. As the aliens left, Dr. Brown turned to Jack. Did you see how they reacted? They had no idea we knew other aliens. Yes, Jack nodded. And they clearly aren't used to people saying no to them, even politely. He picked up his secure phone. Get me Commander Bell on the Guardian. I think we just found our first advantage. Back. On her ship, Susan Bell got Jack's report with growing interest. She had been watching the meeting through a secure feed and had noticed the aliens' surprise. Send all the video to our behavior experts, she told her team. And get me a direct line to our Arcturian friends. I need to know if they've ever heard of this galactic empire, and if they have, what they haven't told us. Susan went to the eye, ship's quiet observation deck, and looked out at the stars. Something was definitely wrong with the Imperial story. The alien ship was impressive, yes, but if they really controlled 600 worlds, wouldn't they have sent more than one ship? To claim Earth? Her phone beeped. It was a message from one of her officers. Commander, strange energy readings from the alien mothership. They're talking to someone far away. Susan smiled slightly. Good. The aliens were worried enough to call home for new orders. That meant Earth had a chance. In his private room at the Earth Conference Center, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept reviewing the meeting in his mind, looking for clues. The alien called Zor-Kal had the arrogance of someone used to being obeyed, but the others seemed less certain, especially after learning about Earth's alien friends. Jack's secure phone lit up. It was a message from Susan. Arcturians never heard of any galactic empire. Rigelians say they know Zor-Kal's species. They're called Thoralians. They control maybe 20 star systems, not 600. We're being conned. Jack sat up straight, suddenly, wide awake. This changed everything. The aliens weren't the overwhelming power they claimed to be. They were bullies who used fear to get what they wanted. He began making calls to Earth's leaders. They needed a new plan before tomorrow's meeting, one that would call the Thoralians' bluff without starting a war they might still lose. As dawn broke, Jack looked out his window at the alien shuttle sitting in the field. It was still huge and advanced, a reminder that even if the Empire was smaller than claimed, they were still dealing with a technically superior force. But for the first time since the aliens arrived, Jack felt something new. Not just fear, but hope. If the Empire was lying about its size, what else were they lying about? Tomorrow would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. They are lying to us, Susan Bell told the group of Earth leaders 12 hours later. Her face looked serious on the big screen as she joined the meeting from her ship. About what exactly? Linda Green, the head of Earth's government, leaned forward in her chair. Susan waved her hand and a set of facts appeared next to her image. About almost everything. Our Arcturian friends have never heard of any galactic empire with 600 worlds. The Rigelians told us that they know. Zor-Kal's people. They're called Thoralians, but they only control about 20 star systems at most. Jack Wilson, Earth's top diplomat, frowned. Are you saying this whole Imperial thing is fake? Not completely fake, Susan explained. Their technology is real and very advanced. Their ship is far better than anything we have. But they're not the huge galactic power they claim to be. Dr. Sam Lee pulled up his own information. Commander Bell is right. We've been studying their shuttle and the scans of their big ship. The technology is impressive but mixed up. Some parts are super advanced, while others seem pieced together from different sources. It's like they took technology rather than built it themselves. So what's their real goal? General Joe Clark asked. Why come to Earth pretending to be this massive empire? Resources, Dr. Lisa Brown suggested. Earth has lots of water compared to many planets, and we've barely started mining our asteroid belt. There's something else, Professor Ben King spoke up. The old man was Earth's leading expert on alien cultures. I've been watching how they behave and comparing it with what we know about other aliens. The Thoralians follow what I call a technology bullying pattern. They target new spacefaring. Civilizations show off their advanced tech and scare them into giving up resources by pretending to be much stronger than they are. Space-con artists, Jack muttered. Exactly, King nodded. And they're good at it. They study their targets carefully, show up with impressive technology, and demand surrender before the target can learn the truth. Most civilizations at our stage would give in because they have no way to know better. Susan's face hardened, but we weren't as alone as they expected. Our friendships with the Arcturians and Rigelians gave us outside information. So what do we do now? Linda asked. They still have better technology than us. We call their bluff, Susan said firmly, but we need to be smart about it. For the next 12 hours, Earth got ready for its response. The truth about the Empire spread through secure channels to military and political leaders, while publicly, Earth seemed to be just reviewing the terms of integration. When the Thoralian group returned, they weren't taken to the small meeting room in New York. Instead, they were brought to the United Nations main hall. All the Security Council members were there, along with military leaders from every Earth nation. Commander Bell had come down from space for this important meeting. We trust you have had enough time to see how good our offer is, Zorcal began, looking down at the humans. Jack Wilson smiled. We have indeed used our time wisely, High Admiral. Or should I call you Fleet Captain? That is your real rank in the Thoralian expansion force, isn't it? A look of surprise crossed Zorcal's face, quickly hidden. I don't know what you mean. I am High Admiral of the Imperial. The Imperial fleet, yes, Jack cut in politely. A fleet that, by our calculations, has maybe 15 ships, not the thousands you suggested with your talk of 600 worlds. The room went silent. The other aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Your information is wrong, Zorcal said, but his voice didn't sound as confident as before. Susan stepped forward. Is it? We've been talking with both the Arcturian Collective and the Rigelian Commonwealth since you arrived. Neither has heard of your great empire. The Rigelians had some very interesting things to tell us about Thoralian diplomatic methods in other star systems. Zorcal's composure cracked more. The business of the empire is beyond your understanding. There is no empire, Linda Green said flatly. At least not like you described it. We believe your people control a small group of star systems and have been bullying developing worlds through technology intimidation. This is outrageous, Zorcal sputtered, but the scientist in his group was already backing toward the door. Jack raised his hand. We don't want to fight, Captain Zorcal, but Earth will not submit to bullying. We suggest a different arrangement, honest trade for specific technologies we're interested in, mainly medical advances. In return, we can offer cultural exchange and limited resource sharing. You dare to counteroffer? Zorcal's voice rose dangerously. We do, Susan said, stepping closer. And you should know that we've shared all we know about the Thoralian expansion force with our allies. Any aggressive action against Earth will trigger defensive responses not just here, but in multiple star systems. This was a careful bluff of their own. Earth's friendships with other aliens were new and untested, but the Thoralians had no way of knowing exactly what arrangements might exist. The alien in religious robes suddenly spoke for the first time, saying something to Zorcal in their own language. The translator caught only bits of it, but the message was clear. They were advising retreat. Zorcal's face turned a darker blue. This discussion is not over, he hissed. We will consider your counter-proposal. As the Thoralian group left to consult with their leadership, Earth's representatives exchanged cautious glances. They had successfully called the bluff, but what would happen next was uncertain. "Get all defense systems ready," Susan whispered to General Clark. "If they can't scare us, they might try to take what they want by force." The next 12 hours would decide whether Earth had earned respect in the galaxy or made its first space enemy. Later that night, Susan stood alone in the United Nations garden, looking up at the stars. The Thoralian ship was up there, its lights visible even from Earth. Jack Wilson joined her. "Do you think they'll attack?" "I don't know," Susan admitted. "They've probably never been challenged like this before. But I do know one thing. Earth won't bow to bullies whether they're from our world or another." Jack nodded. "The old saying is true. The best defense against a bully is to stand up to them. I just hope it works with alien bullies too." They both looked up at the stars, waiting for the Thoralians' next move. The sun rose over the ocean as Earth's military got ready for possible trouble. The Thoralian ship had moved higher up in orbit, but was still there, like a silent warning that the problem wasn't over. In the big military command center in Washington, Susan Bell worked with generals and admirals from around the world. Computer screens showed pictures from space and information from the Guardian about the alien ship. "They're turning on their weapon systems," Susan told the military leaders gathered around the table. "Not full power yet, but enough to show. They mean business." General Clark studied the information. "Our space defenses are as ready as they can be, but if their tech is as advanced as we think, they could still do a lot of damage." "What about getting people out of the big cities?" asked Colonel Frank Miller from the European forces. "We're doing that quietly to avoid panic," replied General Mary Jones from the North American Command. "We're calling it safety drills in most places." Susan's phone beeped with a message from the diplomatic team. "Jack Wilson says the Thoralians want another meeting. They claim to have new orders from their leaders. They're just playing for time," General Clark said with a frown. "They're checking out our defenses and figuring out how ready we are." "Maybe," Susan agreed. "But it also suggests they're not sure what to do. If they were completely confident in their military power, they would have attacked already." The big screen suddenly changed, showing new movement. A smaller ship had separated from the Thoralian mothership and was coming down toward Earth. "Should we shoot it down?" "General," Jones asked tensely. Susan studied the path of the small ship. "No, it's following the proper diplomatic approach route, and it's sending identification codes. They're sending just one representative, not Zorkal, but the robed figure from the earlier meetings." "It could be a trick," Colonel Miller warned. "Possibly," Susan nodded. "But we'll follow the rules. Have a security team meet their shuttle when it lands and check for any weapons or hidden devices." The Thoralian shuttle landed at a military airfield outside Washington, D.C., not at the public areas used before. Security teams kept a tight watch as a single alien walked out. The alien said its name was Elder Vax, a title that seemed to mean something between priest and historian. Unlike Zorkal's aggressive manner, Elder Vax moved slowly and calmly like someone old and wise. In a secure room at the military base, Elder Vax sat across from Linda Green, Jack Wilson, and Susan Bell. "I come without Captain Zorkal knowing," the alien began, surprising the humans. "What I am about to tell you breaks many Thoralian rules, but I must do it to prevent fighting." Jack looked at Susan before answering carefully. "We appreciate your coming to us, Elder Vax. Please go on." "You were right in what you said," the elder admitted. "The Thoralian expansion force controls 23 star systems, not 600. We are not the empire we claim to be." "Then why lie?" Linda asked. Elder Vax made a gesture that looked like a sigh. "Because it has always worked. For over 100 years, we have gone to developing worlds with the same plan. Show impressive technology, claim to have vast imperial power, and demand protection payments. Bullying and stealing," Susan said bluntly. "Yes," Vax admitted. "But you must understand our situation. The Thoralian home planet has few resources. We developed advanced technology because we had to, building spaceships to mine nearby planets. And asteroids. When those resources ran out, we went further. That doesn't make stealing right, Jack pointed out. No, it does not. Vax agreed, surprising them again. But it became our way. And until now, no developing world has seen through our trick or stood against us so firmly. What about the other aliens we contacted? Susan asked. The Arcturians and Rigelians? They are more established, with longer histories of space travel. We avoid such civilizations, focusing only on those just beginning to explore beyond their systems, those without connections or friends who might expose our methods. Linda leaned forward. And now that we've called your bluff, what does Captain Zorcal plan to do? Vax's face showed what might have been worry. That is why I am here. Zorcal is a military commander, proud and unwilling to accept defeat. He is preparing a limited attack. Not to conquer Earth, which he knows is beyond our ability now, but to show power and save face. He hopes that destroying a few empty areas will scare you into at least some concessions. That would be a very bad mistake, Susan said coldly. Earth will respond to any attack with everything we have. I know, Vax nodded. Which is why I came. There is another option, one that could help both our peoples without bloodshed. We're listening, Jack said. I represent a group within Thoralian society that has long opposed our methods. We believe in real cooperation and exchange. If you can help me contact my friends on our homeworld, we can force Zorcal to be called back and begin honest diplomatic relations. Why should we trust you? Linda asked directly. Vax took out a small device from his robes. This contains technical details about our ship's defense systems. Information that would help you target weak spots if Zorcal attacks. I offer it as a sign of good faith. Susan took the device carefully. This is important, but there is more, Vax interrupted. I can send a signal that will temporarily disable certain systems on our vessel. Not weapons, as those are too well protected, but communications and backup power systems. It would create confusion and buy time. The humans talked quietly among themselves before Jack responded. If you're sincere, Elder Vax, your proposal could prevent unnecessary fighting, but we need guarantees. The only guarantee I can offer is this, Vax said solemnly. I have studied your species since we first detected your broadcasts decades ago. I argued against targeting Earth, believing your people too independent and resourceful to submit easily. I was outvoted. Now I see the chance to change not just this confrontation, but my own society's future path. After more discussion, they made a plan. Elder Vax would return to the Thoralian ship with a formal message from Earth, a clear rejection of all demands, and a statement that any aggressive action would be met with unified resistance. At the same time, Vax would contact his political allies on the Thoralian homeworld and activate the disruption signal. As Vax prepared to leave, Susan approached the alien privately. One question, Elder. Why did you really come forward? There must be serious consequences for betraying Zorcal's mission. Vax looked at her thoughtfully. My species is old, Commander Bell. We achieved spaceflight thousands of years before humans. Yet look at what we've become. Pretenders and thieves, feared but not respected. Your people, despite your technological limits, showed wisdom and courage we have forgotten. Perhaps in dealing honestly with Earth, we can rediscover better parts of ourselves. With those wise words, Elder Vax left, leaving Earth's leaders to prepare for either peaceful resolution or immediate conflict. The UES Guardian floated near Earth's moon, all its sensors watching the Thoralian ship. Susan Bell walked back and forth on the bridge, waiting for any sign that Elder Vax's plan was working. Any change in their ship? She asked Bill Rogers. Nothing yet, Commander, he replied, looking at his screen. Their shields are still at full power and weapon systems are still ready to fire. Susan checked the time. Almost 3 hours had passed since Vax had gone back to the Thoralian ship with Earth's formal answer. Either the Elder's plan was delayed or something had gone wrong. Commander, called the communications officer suddenly. We're picking up strange signal patterns from the Thoralian vessel. Many different frequencies, some going toward their home system, Others seem to be inside their ship. Susan moved to look at the screen. Can we understand any of it? Not specifically, but the pattern suggests chaos. Multiple sources sending at the same time without any order. A small smile crossed Susan's face. Vax came through. They're having the communications problems he promised. The tension on the bridge eased slightly, but only for a moment. Alarm suddenly rang out as the weapons officer shouted, "Energy spike! They're charging their main weapons!" "Battle stations," Susan ordered calmly. "Alert Earth Defense Command and get our countermeasures ready." The Guardian's shields hummed to life as the crew prepared for attack. On the main screen, the Thoralian vessel changed shape, parts of its hull moving to reveal weapon ports. "They're aiming at—" The weapons officer paused, looking confused. "Commander, they seem to be aiming at their own shuttle bay." "What?" Before Susan could understand what was happening, the Thoralian ship fired, not at Earth or the Guardian, but at a small shuttle that had just launched from its own hangar. "Incoming message," announced the communications officer. "From the shuttle." The screen showed Elder Vax, looking worried. "Commander Bell, Captain Zorcal discovered my plan. I had to escape. He's locked the ship's controls and still plans to attack despite my warning." "Can you still send the disabling signal?" Susan asked urgently. "Only partly, enough to mess up targeting systems but not weapons power. And it won't last long." Susan made a quick decision. "Guardian to Earth Command. The Thoralian vessel is preparing to attack. Start Defense Plan Theta right now, and prepare to receive a friendly shuttle. Elder Vax is coming to us." Across Earth's surface and in orbit, defense systems turned on. The Planetary Shield Network, a new system partly based on technology shared by the Arcturians, powered up, creating a see-through barrier in the upper atmosphere. On the Thoralian vessel, Zorcal raged at the controls, trying to fix the problems caused by Vax's partial signal. The weapons fired, sending energy beams toward Earth's surface. But the messed-up targeting systems caused most to miss where they aimed, instead hitting the newly activated shield network. The shield held, absorbing and spreading out the energy of the Thoralian weapons. At the same time, Earth's orbital defense platforms locked onto the weak spots Vax had told them about. "Fire!" ordered General Clark from Earth Defense Command. Focused energy beams hit the Thoralian ship exactly where its shields were weakest. The vessel shook, with small explosions along its hull as systems overloaded. "They're turning off weapons," Bill reported on the Guardian. "Main engines starting up, they're trying to run away." Susan nodded grimly. "Let them go, but keep tracking them. I want to know exactly where they head." The damaged Thoralian vessel limped away from Earth orbit, speeding toward the edge of the solar system. Meanwhile, Elder Vax's shuttle docked, with the Guardian. "You've made an enemy today," Vax told Susan as they watched the Thoralian ship disappear from view. "Zorcal will not forget this shame." "Neither will Earth forget this attempted attack," Susan replied. "But perhaps we've also made a friend?" Vax bowed his head. "My message reached sympathetic ears on our homeworld. Zorcal's failure, the first in the expansion force's history, will strengthen the position of those who want change. I cannot promise immediate improvement, but this marks a beginning." 3 months later, representatives from Earth, the Arcturian Collective, the Rigelian Commonwealth, and a new Thoralian Reform Council met at the space station orbiting Europa. Elder Vax, now with the title of Diplomatic Envoy, led the Thoralian group. In a ceremony broadcast throughout Earth's territories, Jack Wilson signed the Sol System Protection Agreement, a mutual defense deal that officially recognized Earth's independence and set up rules for trade and cultural exchange between the signing species. "Today marks not just Earth's official entry into the wider galactic community," Jack announced, "but a new approach to relationships between stars in this sector, not based on intimidation or tricks, but on mutual respect and cooperation." As the ceremony ended, Linda Green approached Susan Bell, who had received a promotion to Admiral after the Thoralian incident. "A remarkable outcome," Linda observed. "From potential conquest to founding member of a defensive alliance in just 3 months." Susan watched as Elder Vax talked excitedly with scientists from the Rigelian delegation. It's just the beginning. Vax tells me the Thoralian Reform Council has already removed 3 other expansion fleet captains from duty, and there are rumors that other species who were victims of their tactics are now declaring independence. And Zorcal? Susan's expression hardened slightly. Still out there with a damaged but working vessel and a big grudge. Our long-range sensors track his ship heading toward the outer rim. I doubt we've seen the last of him. A problem for another day, Linda said. Today, we celebrate. As the diplomatic reception continued, Susan found herself standing next to Elder Vax at a window overlooking Europa's icy surface. Your people have a saying, Vax remarked. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Earth spoke firmly and showed a surprisingly strong stick when needed. Susan smiled. We prefer cooperation, but we'll defend what's ours. By the way, our intelligence suggests 3 other worlds have recently turned away Thoralian expansion force vessels. It seems word of our encounter has spread. As I hoped it would, Vax admitted. Sometimes the most powerful weapon against bullying is simply the knowledge that standing up to it is possible. From Europa's observation deck, they could see Earth in the distance, a blue jewel against the blackness of space. No longer alone, no longer naive, but standing proudly as a world that had earned its place among the stars not through conquest, but through courage and conviction. The message to would-be conquerors throughout the galaxy was clear. Earth was not to be threatened or deceived. Earth was not a prize to be claimed or a resource to be exploited. Earth was home to humanity. And humanity had declared in one united voice, "You are not welcome here," and the stars themselves seemed to take notice.